Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has congratulated Iwuanyanwu on his election as the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. Atiku, in a congratulatory message and goodwill message to Iwuanyanwu, described him as a worthy Nigerian leader who belongs to the first-class grade of contemporary Nigerian statesmen. Atiku expressed the optimism that he will make the desired impact, taking into consideration his political grit and sagacity, which aura and influence reverberates across the length and breadth of Nigeria.
Now, joining us to look at this issue is Professor Charles Nwekeaku, Secretary, Igbo Elders Consultative Forum. Thank you for joining us.
Well, Professor, thank you for being here with us. And of course, a good place to start this conversation is, can you confirm to us that he is Ohanaeze Ndigbo President General? I ask you this question because I've seen some who are saying that he wasn't elected, but instead he was just presented to the Imo State Governor by the Imo Elders Forum. So, is Iwuanyanwu the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo? Good place to start the conversation tonight.
Well, thank you so much. Well, there is a process in Ohanaeze, and the late Professor George Obiozo is from Imo State. And so he was elected January 11, 2021. He has a 4-year term. And after that, it will move to another state. And so when he died, somebody from Imo State has to complete his tenure. And that was how the Imo elders came, and then in order to minimize conflict, decided to select one of them. That is part of the process. After selecting him, the IMOB, which is a policy-making organ for Ohanaeze, will rectify that. And so they have done well by taking the first process by nominating him. They will now present him to IMOB.
So he's not officially yet. He's just been nominated. And also to add to that, you say he's supposed to outsee the tenure of Professor Obiozo, who unfortunately died in December. He had a 4-year tenure to run. So is he going to see, is Iwuanyanwu, when confirmed, is he going to serve a 4-year tenure, or is he going to complete the 4 years that Professor Obiozo had started in 2021?
Well, I think constitutionally he will complete the 4 years Obiozo started.
Right.
And by the time the Imo elders nominated him, it's almost concluding because they will present him. And when he's presented, I think it's just formal process. And so they've done well by coming together to present him.
Okay, now, Ohanaeze Ndigbo was founded in 1976 by Professor Iwuanyanwu as a social cultural organization. What are your political interests? What are the political interests of the organization?
Well, certainly, according to Aristotle, every animal is a political, every man is a political animal. And so, Ohanaeze, though a social cultural group, you will not remove essentially the political matters from it, because politics affects every person.
Absolutely.
Politics affects members of Ohanaeze, especially the Igbos that Ohanaeze represents. I know that Igbos have been crying for a number of things in the country. We cry of marginalization. We cry of exclusion from the governance of the country. We cry of non-visible federal government presence in terms of industry and other things. As you can imagine, right now, there's no single Igbo man in the Security Council of the Federation. We have about 27 security agencies. Igbo man is not in any of them. It's not heading in any of them. Contrary to Section 14, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which provide for federal character principle, which stipulates that in whatever the government and these agencies do, that should reflect the federal character of the country in order to give every section a sense of belonging. So the Igbos to a large extent, haven't got that sense of belonging.
Okay. So, Professor Nwekeaku, we need to also have a conversation. Yes, while you talk about being a conscious group to ensure that at least what you say is marginalization, you know, is sorted out, especially at the highest level. Some have actually argued about how impactful groups such as Ohanaeze and Igbo and even the Igbo Elders Consultative Forum is with regards to the issues currently bedeviling the Southeast. And the one thing that comes to mind, really, looking at what even happened a few days ago in Ngo where about 5 police officers were killed and their guns scattered away. Insecurity, a major issue. These groups like Ohanaeze and your own, how are you galvanizing to ensure that the issues bedeviling the Southeast is, you know, at least addressed?
Well, certainly, the insecurity issue is general throughout the country. 2 weeks ago, over 40-something people were massacred in Benue. Southern Kaduna, the same thing. So Southeast is not
definitely, but the question is groups as yours.
Yes, as a matter of fact, both Ohanaeze and Igbo elders have been working hard. You remember that prior to this very 18th February presidential election, that some people said that there will be no election in the Southeast. You remember? And before then, the Anambra governorship election, some people said that there will be no election. So it was through the efforts of Igbo Elders Consultative Forum and the Ohanaeze. We had to network and we had to, you know, dialogue with some of the stakeholders to ensure that there were elections. Of course, the turnout in the South was massive. And so the elders and the Ohanaeze, they have been working to ensure that all these anomalies are addressed. I know you also raised the issue of Monday sit at home. Yes, that Monday sit at home, the elders and the Ohanaeze are working. You see, the youths are they are disenchanted. They've lost confidence in the governance of the country because they believe that the Igbos have been deliberately excluded, and we've been persuading them, say, look, do not worry. Something could still be done. And when we talk to them, they listen to us and allow the election to take place. So even the sit-at-home thing. But you know that because of a number of things that happened in this recent concluded elections, otherwise, that thing was almost solved. But by the time a number of imperfections that were associated with the presidential election and the governorship and national elections actually disenchanted many Nigerians, including the Igbos, giving the impression that there's no hope in the governance of the country. But that notwithstanding, we shall continue to strive because any problem that has no solution has ceased to be a problem. Maybe that one is something else. So we believe it's a problem, and other things being equal, the problem will be addressed squarely.
Interesting. Now, I'm happy you mentioned the issue of federal character.
Yes.
Now, a subject of debate currently now is where the Senate presidency goes.
Yes.
And it's beginning to...
the Speaker.
Yes, yeah, it's beginning to... yeah, the Speaker of the House of Reps.
Yes.
And it's beginning to look like you were alluding to something like that. What are your hopes? What are your hopes when it comes to the seat of the Senate President and the Speaker of House of Reps?
To tell you the truth, I'm not enthusiastic about the Senate presidency.
Why?
Or speakership. Good. Because I believe, just that federal character question, Nigeria gained independence, political independence, October 1, 1960, to present. Except 6 months, Aguiyi headed the government, accidental 6 months. No Igbo man has been privileged to be president of the country. Yet Igbos contribute immensely towards the development of this country. Historically, politically, economically. You find out that by the time Buhari hands over next month, the Northwest would have ruled Nigeria for 22 years. North Central, 18 years. Northeast, 6 years. Southwest, 12 years. South-South, 6 years. Southeast, 6 months. So other things being equal, our turn is supposed to be the presidency. So we are not talking about senior president or this. We want number one. It is our turn to occupy that position.
Well, you say you want number one, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, Nigeria still practices democracy.
Yes.
And yes, there was an Igbo man who was one of the front runners in that election.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he came third. So
Yes.
how would you have expected that things could have turned out differently in terms of ensuring that you say it is the turn of the Southeast, that the Southeast produces the number one man?
He came.
Nigerians voted
Yes,
for who?
he came third according to INEC.
Right.
But you know that based on the observations of international observers, local observers, and every other person, that election was the most fraudulent
Well,
election
we
in the
can't dwell
country.
too much on that because at the end of the day, this is a matter that is before the tribunal. So the tribunal will decide that. But
Yes.
now there is an opportunity from what Tolu had asked you.
Yes.
The fact that the National Assembly, the leadership of both the Senate and the House of Representatives
Yes.
are up for grabs. And
Yes.
some are saying the Southeast, Senator Orji Zakala had said, you know what, it should be zoned to the Southeast. And some others are believing the same as well. But some also would argue and say for the fact that we're seeing some people from the Southeast vie for both the Senate presidency and even the speakership of the House of Representatives, if that is not double jeopardy and you might end up losing out on both.
Well, for me, we wanted number one, and the National Assembly you are talking of has been mere rubber stamp. And so an average Igbo man is not interested in the National Assembly. We want number one.
No, are you saying an average Igbo man, or you're speaking for yourself?
Well,
Because some Igbo people
Yes.
have come here to say that they are rooting for their zone.
Well, some of those people are among those who sabotage the efforts of an Igbo man to become number one. But that is not, if it comes to them, okay.
Let's
But
not indict anyone, though.
We are not indicting any person.
Okay.
But to tell you, I'm not enthusiastic about Senate presidency or speakership of the House of
So you'll
Representatives.
be okay if any other zone produces
No.
the Senate
Our
president
people are
and the speaker?
interested in number one. And since the matter is still in court, we are still optimistic that other things being equal, we could still get it. So I don't want to lose sleep about whether Senate presidency come to the Southeast or not. I mean, it's not consequential as far as I am concerned, because that is not what we want. We are talking of federal character principle. It is the turn of Southeast to produce the president. But if Nigerians decide otherwise, who am I to question Nigerians? I'm not questioning that. You understand? If Nigerians say this word, but it has to be clear that the interests of the Igbos have not been accommodated.
Right. Professor Charles Nwekeaku, of course, Secretary, Igbo Elders Consultative Forum. Thank you for your analysis tonight on the program.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.